Your brother's fantastic. I mean, here's someone who was, sort of pulled along for the ride over here, and it has done tremendous things. We both know. But Ari, you weren't in this alone. We have with us, Ellie Beneth, who everyone who has been to any Project Inspire event knows Ellie Beneth and his beautiful voice. You had to sort of like reach beyond you and get people like Ellie on board. Ellie, thanks for joining us here.
Thank you, Yossi. It's my pleasure.
So tell us, Ellie, so you're approached by this madman, named Aryeh Royd, about an idea that sounds so far-fetched to join communities. We heard from Yisrael how, you walk in, the point of being non-judgmental in communities when all eyes are on you. Tell us what it's like on your end, your background walking into a community like this where all eyeballs on you, and how to break down those barriers and do the things that you've been doing.
Honestly, in the beginning, it was scary as Gehenna. It was scary. When we would just walk in there on a Shabbos, like by Mincha, the first thing, and everybody's looking, we were kind of nervous, of course, also not knowing where we're going to end up and what kind of house, and you know what I mean? Just like staying by people. We're hosted by the community, so that was a lot of nerves. But we did it. We felt a real, we went, I'm sure they spoke about the classes that we went with Chaim Samson and all that stuff. And, we felt we were really committed.
Amazing. From a commitment is one thing, but I want to bring this up, while we have you. I know you don't have a lot of time as well. You guys are busy in your schedules, but Ellie and Aryeh, I'll ask this first to Ellie and then to you, Aryeh. And I think this is like maybe the key success of traveling Chassidim. And you'll tell me, but from an outsider's perspective, is it's one thing to be inspired on your own, and to you walk in on a Friday and you're nervous as anything, but you break through and you do it and you inspire a community over a weekend. But going beyond yourself and getting others to do what you're doing is a step that's way beyond that. How do you take your nerves, your later success, and sort of reach out to other people and say, hey guys, you got to get involved in this?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main things that we learned over time, early on, really, is that it's about having the experience. You have to live in the moment and really enjoy the experience. It's one of the secrets of the traveling Chassidim. I don't know if we're allowed to say it out loud, is that really we pretend that we're the ones giving, but really we are taking a lot. Why do I say that? Because the term FFB, from birth, there's CFB, Chassid, from birth too. And we live our lives and in our little bubbles, and we take everything for granted. All the special tools that we have, the simcha and the everything, Shabbos, we take it for granted, and it just like becomes part of life. But then when you walk into a community, especially out there, far out there, and you see the sincerity and the curiosity, and people want to hear, they want to connect, all that wakes you up, So we have an experience as well. We have an experience. It's not just, we're not there giving, we're experiencing and together with other Yidden.
Aryeh, describe that, Ellie's point of, that you're not necessarily the givers. In many ways, you're takers. A, describe that, and B, is that something that you give over to people in a recruitment effort to get them involved?
Okay, so it's a good question. So I want to answer that. Just want to back up with an introduction to introduce my friend Ellie, and that will really answer the question, because from day one I needed someone as friendly and talented as Ellie Beneth. So he's extremely friendly. He was a good friend of mine. We studied together. We used to go out together, have fun together, and he's extremely talented. And the only way we could actually go out there and share what we have is we have someone like Ellie. So he has a beautiful voice and everything else, which I'm not going to embarrass him as he's on the line here now. There are plenty of talented. So since that's the case, as part of the recruitment, that do you want to spend a Shabbos with our friends who are fun and talented? Would you like to hear Ellie Bennett over a whole davening singing and leading the prayers? So what Ellie mentioned about recruitment, that we need to be sincere and enjoy ourselves and have fun. Of course, that was a major aspect of recruitment. The people who we recruited is happy people, fun people, and so let's just get together in Texas for a Shabbaton and sing together, enjoy each other's company, and that was a major aspect of recruitment. However, just wanted to add one element to our recruitment. There was certainly another aspect to it, that there were people who we identified who had it in them, in the neshama, bubbling in the neshama, a desire to change the world, or to share their insights, or to share their feelings, or share their upbringing. So there were two people who we got on board. Those, of course, the excitement part of it, but also who we identified they could share. And we got many people who are serious people who feel that they want to share and they have no opportunity, as being stuck, not stuck, but being in the Hasidic bubble, so to speak, to share their heritage and the excitement of Yiddishkeit and the desire to share. And once we got those people on board, we have a very colorful group now. We have serious people, learners, those who know how to teach, and also those who just want to smile and have a good time on a Hasidic way.
But Ellie, to your point of that you became, a taker, not a giver. When you're out there trying to get more people to come and to join you, deep down, you need to know that what's going to attract them at the end of the day is going to be when they realize that they are takers and not givers.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond. I'm going to respond to that, but Arya said that we have a colorful group of people. Just to be clear, it's different shades of black. That's what he means by colorful.
And white.
And white, yeah. And the socks. So yes, I'm going to answer your question. Absolutely. It's definitely a recruiting tool because everybody wants a better Shabbos and a better life for themselves and for their kids. And when I can tell a friend of mine, look, I'm not asking you to do Hashem any favors. I'm asking you to enhance your own Hasidic life and your own children's Shabbos table. That's what I'm asking you to do. Everybody wants to do that. So, and it happens because you think you're giving, but you're taking. I can see it because we don't just go by ourselves, we go with our wives and with our children. And ultimately it wouldn't work if we didn't get anything out of it, the children get something out of it, the wife, everything. There's a magic to it, it enhances definitely our own life.
So would you believe it, Yossi? The selling point is spend Shabbos in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and your Hasidic lifestyle will be enhanced.
I'm trying to fathom that sales pitch. I mean, that and the Brooklyn Bridge, it's but you're saying that it works.
No, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. Try it. All you need to do is somebody's to try it once, and it works. And it's not just a recruitment tool because it's true. It's true.
Right.
It works for me.
Right, Ellie, I'm going to ask you something because I know also that you're limited. There are things I want to ask Arya, but for you, and you can tell me if you don't want to answer this because maybe it's beyond the scope. But many people are watching this. Yes, maybe many Hasidic Jews are watching this. Maybe non-Hasidic Orthodox Jews. Many Jews that not necessarily Orthodox and necessarily committed, but they're watching this and saying, these guys who probably the world would think are it in terms of they can't gain any more from a Jewish experience. They are the Jewish experience, right? What does that tell people that are watching in terms of sharing Judaism enhances your own Judaism?
Well, all I can say is, as I said before, when you're born into anything, you start taking it for granted. This is a concept that's just all over the place. It's called mitzvahs anoshim milumada. It means you take things for granted. You fall asleep. And the same goes to Chassidim. When you walk into a Hasidic shul, I'll give you an example. A real life example. I remember one of the first times we had a family from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, over to our house after after one of the Shabbatons. We became close, and they came to our house for Shabbos. And I remember right after Kabbalah Shabbos, the night prayer, the father and the son, the three sons, came home. What did they tell their mom? The mother was home. The women didn't come to the night davening. They tell their mom, you should have heard the singing, like the harmonies and the soul and the warmth and everything. I honestly thought to myself, most of the people didn't even notice that they're singing. They're probably looking into some paper or a safer. They were just on auto tune, on autopilot, singing, because that's what you do Friday night. It's all of us, that's the honest truth. So we need to go out and find that spark again. The things that you do, don't take it for granted.
Aryeh, Eli is saying that this is not only a trick for the traveling Chassidim, but a trick for Judaism overall, which means when you share your Judaism with someone else and see the appreciation they have for it, it gives you an appreciation for what you've taken for granted. Have
Absolutely.
you found that?
Absolutely. I would like to share another example. Eli mentioned when someone came to his house for Shabbos. So what we used to do, hopefully, God willing, we'll do again soon. We would invite people back to Monsey for Shabbos, and we called it the Shabbos in the Shtetl. Many people used to come to Monsey area for Shabbos. We would host them. All my friends, my neighbors. At one point, we had over 100, like around 150 guests from out of state came to Monsey for Shabbos. So I would get many of my Hasidic friends to host them for Shabbos. Of course, we would rent a hall and would eat together the Friday night meal together. So one of the hosts calls me up Thursday afternoon, all nervous. A Hasidic Yid, a friend of mine, he says, there's no way I could host. I'm backing out. I cannot host someone who's less affiliated. I said, what's your problem? He said, I've had nightmares the last few days because I'm afraid they might ask me over Shabbos questions. I said, what type of questions are they going to ask you? He said, I don't know. I started to go through in my mind my Shabbos meal, and it hit me. Why do I cover the challahs with a cover? Why do I have two? Why do we dip it into salt? Why this? Why that? And I said, no. Why? He says, I've no clue. I said, you've been doing it for 35 years. And I told him, it's a trick. No one's coming to your house anyway. I wanted you to learn something about your Judaism. So that's another point which Eli was trying to bring out. First of all, we take things for granted, the joy what Hasidim have, but not just Hasidim, even strict Judaism, halachas, our life we take for Judaism. Wake up in the morning and we put on tefillin, phylacteries. Did I even put them on this morning? I'm not sure. We still go through this. And then when you have someone in your house looking at you say, what did you just do? What do you mean it's tefillin? What is that? And then it hits us to ask ourselves, what is that? And hopefully it'll inspire our own Yiddishkeit to know, why do I put
Good,
why do I keep
Eli, this is very inspiring because, first of all, it takes guts on your end. People don't want to be on the, on the having to answer questions, end of things. But is that something that scares people? Should it scare people that, like, Aryeh, you mentioned, we're doing it for 35 years, like, why don't I know why we do that? People might find that to be scary as opposed to a refreshing, awakening to what their Judaism is all about. Have you found that to be a turnoff, maybe, Eli?
Yeah, a lot of people, that's the first thing they think about when you talk to them. Oh, let's go and do some outreach. Oh, let's go and do some traveling. And yeah, their first instinct is like, oh, but I don't know, like the answer questions. The truth is that it's almost never get any questions about Judaism. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is most of the people that you meet are not there to prove you wrong, or they're not, people are nice. They just enjoy a human to human experience. They enjoy, you don't have to answer. They don't see you as their rabbi. You're not going to answer their questions. There's a rabbi in the community. There's other people. They don't necessarily see you as their rabbi. and then they're not here to ask you trick questions and whatnot. They may be curious. They may be curious about the traditions that we have. The Shtreimel is always the number one subject. So, I always tell people maybe it will help if you get your Shtreimel story straight. Uh, but other than that, it's an experience. It's not an intellectual back and forth.
Ellie, just we touched on this a drop before you had come on, but do you and again, I want the viewer to understand this not from a terms of like you standing there in a Shtreimel, with the Kabbalat Shabbat prayer and what's going through people's mind. I'm talking about really sharing your life with other Jews, including them as brothers and sisters. Do you see a change? The misconception of looking at you as sort of like this unapproachable Hasidic man to all of a sudden the penny dropping of like, this is my brother and I could really connect to them. You watch that transition happening.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I would say that is probably, I can't speak to the magic of Shabbos and the magic of singing. I mean, I know those two are major factors, but I think the biggest or one of the major factors of the magic of the traveling Hasidim experience is that breaking down of the barriers, that like all these misconceptions on either side just are out the window in a moment. You know what I mean? The second you just start you're sharing that experience together, that achdus, that unity, that understanding. Like I think on a deep level, naturally we're one. If you learn anything about Yiddishkeit, you know that we're all one, really naturally. So I think it's just almost like there's a magic to when you have that experience and all these barriers fall away, and that is just amazing. That is amazing.
Aryeh, we all have experienced, Ellie's, beautiful voice, his sweet voice throughout the Shabbat prayers and during the meals. But the culmination of the Shabbat is the Havdalah, and those we've all had the experience of hearing, Ellie in that Havdalah experience. I wonder if you look around the room, Ari, as somebody who sort of dreamt this up and it sort of fell into your lap, as a traveling Chassidim to continue. Do you look around the room and appreciate while that's going on, the people's faces? What are they experiencing and what are they feeling after an experience with the traveling Chassidim?
It's a good question. I'm not sure if I could actually go into someone's brain what they're thinking. Otherwise, I'd be God himself. There's a certain look in people's faces that watching the misconceptions and the barriers falling down and like, this is just so amazing. And as everything Ellie said, we're human beings, they're human beings. And there's so much thought. It almost seems like, everyone's in such a great mood after Havdalah. People just don't want to leave. And we speak about that a lot. What's in it? What did they have? There was pizza there. Why don't they want to leave? It's because there's so much emotions, and it's hard to tap into exactly what it is. But it's all those things of we used to think about you, used to think about us. Hey, we have so much in common. Let's share our lives. We exchange telephone numbers, Motzei Shabbos. People go wild after Shabbos. Just we feel the love in the air. And as Ali said, of course, Shabbos does it. Who are we to speak about the holiness of Shabbos? The love in the air we can feel. That's certainly the magic. And
right.
and as Ali said, there's so much in that. There's a natural connection. We don't need to build and search for something that connects us. So much more that connects us than that divides us. And when you break down those barriers, it's there, and everyone just who's wild over them.
Right. You're saying don't try too hard. You don't try too hard. It's there.
That's right. And you know what? Another aspect on the entire Shabbos, we're not trying too hard to impress anyone in any aspect. We're just literally enjoying ourselves. And actually, this is a line which Ali taught us early on, when we used to look around sometimes in the crowd, in the audience, Friday night, we could get more people involved. Let's go around and pull people into our table while we're singing. And Ali always used to train us, stop. enjoy yourself. If we are singing well and we're enjoying ourselves, it gravitates to others, and others will going to want to join our table. So don't work too hard. Just enjoy
okay,
it.
so I'm gonna say one point that I'm getting from you, and then a question. And this is, don't take this as an attack. I'm trying to, bring out the what you guys do. What you're really saying, I believe, Ari, is a message in Judaism, not only in the singing and the enjoyment that you're getting, but in general, when people see Jews living with an excitement for their Judaism, as well as an appreciation for what it's all about, that itself is gravitational. Like that grabs people in. And don't try so hard to preach and to have to twist people's arms. Really live as a Jew and appreciate what Judaism has to offer, and people will join you. I think that's the message that Eli.
Absolutely. I do like to teach that a lot, that the greatest Kiddush Hashem, sanctity of Hashem's name, is by looking from, and Orthodox, if you may, just keeping the Torah and being happy and enjoying your lifestyle. And we want people to say, what's in it? Why are you so happy? As if they're even asking, what are you taking?
Right, exactly. What do you think? So that's a point that I want to ask. And Ellie, this is a question for you, is that, there are people that are watching this, and even outreach professionals or people who have been involved 40, 50 years in reaching out to communities and involving Jews in Judaism. Some of them might be saying to themselves, this is great, but it's fluff. You guys are basically just singing, and as I'm even thinking this question, Aryeh is saying, yeah, and I like to teach that a lot as well. So where do you find the balance between the enjoyment aspect as well as teaching lessons to Jews that you're around that are real messages, that are takeaway messages, and not just a feeling of, wow, this is awesome?
Yeah, I would say the spark, when we come in for a Shabbos, it's about giving that spark, right? Where we can't, we're not there to teach or to preach. We're just there to share an experience. That's how we look at it. And authenticity is contagious. If you're authentic and you just experience who you are and what you believe in, that is contagious. Now, obviously, the Traveling Chassidim as an organization is not necessarily a tool that can take somebody from being really less affiliated and turning them into, quote unquote, a Shomer Shabbos. Well, you need a community for that. You need a rabbi for that. Of course, the local people in the community. And of course, they need to experience meals with families that they can see themselves as one day being that family. In a certain way, the Traveling Chassidim, because we're so far, the gap is so wide between us and them in terms of lifestyle, that there's a certain chillness, there's a less fear, where there's no hidden message. We're obviously not there to convert them into Chassidim. So I think that fear goes out the window, and it enables us just to have a good experience. And that, I often, it's like the B12 shot over Shabbos. And then obviously the local community, the people in the shul are there to pick up the pieces and take it to the next level.
So you're saying, Eli, is that you view yourself not necessarily as outreach rabbis, but as people that are there to help and coincide with already existing infrastructure?
That's true. That is mainly what we do. Although I would say Rabbi Aryeh Roy and Rabbi Yisrael, we have plenty of real rabbis that are part of the group, but that is a plus, that is a plus. So that is not necessarily part of the formula of the Traveling Chassidim.
Right. And Aryeh, this goes, it's an amazing point you bring out. Aryeh, this goes to, to a question that has really nothing to do with Chassidim, but it has to do with, and by the way, not only Orthodox Jewry, but this message is sort of to any Jew who feels that I can involve so-and-so in such and such, experience, but like, what difference is it really going to make? Do they really want to be involved? Ellie's pointing out that like they have communities and infrastructures, sort of give them that spark, and you never know how far that'll go. Have you seen that? Have you seen that come to life?
Absolutely, I agree to every word Elia says. Personally, I like to do outreach on my own too, as a Talmud of Rav Noach, as we discussed before. But when we come on the traveling Chassidim Shabbos, we're not going to make someone from. We're going to give them a taste. So I like to say, instead of teaching Judaism, we demonstrate it. Don't learn about Judaism, taste it. And once you taste it once, you're going to want more. I'm not available. We're all over the country. Go to your rabbi, figure it out, and get more of it. And hopefully we'll be back next year for another boost. But we want them to experience once authentic Shabbos so that they should want more of it. And that's probably the best thing we could do in Kiruv, because it's impossible to change. Nobody could change people's lives. It has to be from their own. You have to choose your own lifestyle. But we tempt them with an exciting life, and then say, I'd like to have Shabbat in my own life.
Right. Ellie, and I'll ask this to you, Ari, afterwards. Ellie, we talk about misconceptions that Jews have about Judaism. It was a teaching of Rav Noach Weinberg. It was one of his fundamental classes about, breaking down the misconceptions. From on a humorous level, people have definitely, I'm sure, in your experience, come up with you and asked you or assumed the wackiest and weirdest things about your way of life. Do any of you want to share some of the questions or misconceptions or things that have come up that you almost had to like blink to make sure that you were actually awake when you were hearing this?
Plenty. I don't know if I can share everything. But a lot of people still think that we have completely arranged marriages. Basically, we don't even know who we're getting married to. We were in London once before there was a traveling Chassidim London group.
UK.
We went there the first time, and somebody came over to me Motzei Shabbos very sincerely and asked me, I have a question. Are there different denominations in Judaism, in Hasidim? Are the Hasidim in New York? No, he asked, are there different denominations in Hasidism that allow polishing your shoes while others don't? I said, no, as far as I know, if you're a Hasid, you can polish your shoes. So he said, because I've noticed the New York Hasidim polish their shoes, and the London Hasidim don't polish their shoes. So it's just, I don't know. That just popped into my head, that little experience.
And you figure if that's what they're asking, who knows what they're not asking in terms of misconception. Ari, do you have any experiences to share?
Yeah, but the questions which they don't ask, sometimes they do ask, and I'm not going to share here in public. But yeah, Ellie's correct. All those interesting types of weird, but also I like our dress code. When we mentioned a few times the word strammel, I hope your audience know what that is. It refers to the dead cat on our head. Some people think that we wear it all week, and we sleep with it. This is we go to sleep in it, we shower in it. It's stuck to us. During the week, we don't wear it. I'm not wearing one now, and it's business like regular black and white. But we're not strammels on those long silk bekishers, as we call it, during the week. It's like special in honor for Shabbos. And those questions, they honestly think that there's this whole entire lifestyle that we somewhat like Amish. Sometimes we get that type of question. So do you have electricity at home?
The traveling Hasidim was developed to give people that authentic Shabbat experience. And, you've mentioned, Ellie, and Ari, you have as well, that when you recruit more people on board, you tell them it's going to be an amazing experience. And then they themselves realize how much of an impact they can have on people and how much they connect as brothers and sisters. But really, is it about a nice thing to do? Or do you, as Chassidim and we as Jews, have more of a responsibility than we'd actually like to make it out to be, to sharing Judaism with our brothers and sisters?
Yeah, of course we do. We have a huge responsibility to do whatever we can. And I get there's a lot of pushback sometimes in recruitment. People will say, specifically when it comes to outreach, but we have to care for our children first, you know, with all the nisyanis out there. I don't know how you say nisyanis, with everything out, the challenges out there.
Educational stumbling blocks or challenges.
Challenges out there. We have to care for our children first, and you know, how can we dedicate time for this? And I say it's interesting because on any other organization, when let's say A-Time and Boinet Oilam, these organizations that help people with fertility issues and whatnot, right? When they come to you and they ask you to do something or to donate, nobody says, or you go visit somebody that's sick in the hospital, nobody says, well, we have to care for our kids first. I mean, Hashem gave us talents, Hashem gave us time, Hashem gave us, and we're not even talking about much. We're just talking about carving out that little space for somebody else, for your brother, for your sister, to experience what you're experiencing. We're talking about sharing a little bit. We're not talking about who knows what, dedicating your life, you know, although some people do that, but we're talking about sharing a little bit. So I feel like there's definitely a mission, and people know it's important. They just don't know how easy it is to make a little bit of an impact.
Amazing. Ellie, I'm going to finish up here with Aryeh, but I know that your time, I know you have to go back to things, and I appreciate you joining us, and really, I want to thank you not only for joining us, but thank you for really doing what you do on a consistent basis. And my blessing, as it was to Yisrael Royd, is that hopefully the world gets back on track and you guys can continue on the road and inspire many, many more communities.
Amen.
Oh yeah. Amen.
You know, he's just amazing, Ellie, and amazing, and how humble, you know, you and I know the effect that his voice and his power of his soul has on so many communities around the world, and, you know, will continue to have as soon as the world opens up. You know, Aryeh, tell us a little about, I know we spoke about the traveling Chassidim and how the concept came to be. We met Yisrael Royd, your brother, who was a partner in crime of yours, as well as Eli Beneth, who has traveled, you know, the world to this point together with you. But you took it further. You realized that it wasn't going to be a trio of guys that were going to be able to really make an impact in communities. You took it much further than that.
Okay, so as we mentioned before, we go with a group of families. So the initial Shabbos, which was Philadelphia, I just recruited a group of my friends. I think it was 5 or 6 families, and we said, you know, we're just going to have a good time in Philadelphia. You know, what we're going to do, as I mentioned, I have no clue. Let's just do it. But over the time, you know, we went to Philadelphia and then to Wilkes-Barre. Name got out that we're doing this, and the calls started coming in. So that first year, we had 3 Shabbatons. A year later, we did, I think, 6 or 7. By now, or just before COVID, we were doing 40 Shabbatons a year. So to do 40 Shabbatons a year, if you take out Sukkot and Pesach or Rosh Hashanah, it's more than the yearly cycle. So I personally couldn't have gone every week, of course. I have to be home somewhat also. So, of course, I don't go every week. And actually, some busy weeks, we had 2 or 3 Shabbatons that same week. So we had to recruit. And that was part of my job, to get friendly Chassidim involved. So the basic requirement was a friendly face and a chassid. The basic requirement, because again, everything what we've been speaking about the last hour or so. So obviously we need talent too. That means in every group, I want to make sure that someone has a beautiful voice. Eli Beneth, however much we love him, it's impossible for him to go every Shabbos. So we always need someone to lead the prayers, lead the musical Havdalah. So we need a beautiful voice. We need some musicians. We have many people who are on the keys and plays keyboard or guitar. And then each group consists of 5 or 6 families. So 2 of them have to be extremely talented. The rest could basically sing basically on tune friendly faces, authentic people. And at the job, going around Muncie, Borough Park, Lakewood, finding Chassidim who have a passion or want to explore something more than what they're.
Aryeh, that's probably the most, impressive part, if I may say, about the entire traveling Hasidim is that, there are many people out there, and you could speak more to this if you like, is there are many people out there who feel like, yes, I'd like to get involved, but it's about what I can do. And then what I can't do, I can't do. So it's me with what I can do and what I can't do. You took that much further and said, I know there's me and what I can and can't do, but if we want to get a job done, then we got to get others involved. And that's my responsibility as well.
Yeah, so I am proud to say, because of the Project Inspire message, which is not about a few cure of individuals doing things, but it's getting the masses, waking the sleeping giant, as Reverend Oak used to call it. So it could have been about a few families doing it as much as we could. But Baruch Hashem, by now we have over 100 Hasidic families who are involved. And as I said, I take a lot of pride in that 100 Hasidic families have changed their mindset, that there's an obligation now to do it. Now, granted, they don't go every week, those. An active member would go 5 or 6 times a year. But if you want to volunteer to come once or twice a year, by all means. And what are your talents? Nothing. Yourself, your neshama, your smile. It's more than enough to be Makar of people.
It's amazing, and I think what wasn't really spoken about, just, was on a sort of by the way, which is that, there are many people watching this who might not realize the type of sacrifice that the women, the wives of the traveling Hasidim have made in this process. Tell us, what it's like. I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, Aryeh. I know that sometimes I travel myself, but like Shabbos is the time that I'm home. It's the steady time. I pick and choose, when I go away, how I go away, for Shabbos, etc. Yet you guys, this is your line of business, so to speak. It must be a tremendous, sacrifice for the women to pack the kids up and thank God you guys have, large families, some of you, and you take your whole families away. What has it been like, not only from a sacrifice level, but from a fulfilling level on the side of the women in this?
It's a very good point. I'm glad you're bringing it out. The women deserve a tremendous amount of appreciation and respect for what they do. Yes, it's packing up. Now, we don't have such a large family. We're talking about 7 or 9 kids, the smallest of families. And
it's a small village to some, Aryeh.
That's right. So when we travel, the host also has to host a whole army. But I must share with you, we haven't always had the best experience. And don't worry, our viewers, I'm not going to mention any names of communities, but sometimes they wouldn't host us in nice beds or nice rooms. We've had bad experience in the past. We've been put in, in the basement on the floor with blow-up mattresses, and sometimes we look at it, so we're not the traveling Hasidim. We're human beings with wives and kids. And so Baruch Hashem, for the most part, has been very good. For the most part.
But Aryeh, you're bringing out my point even more, which is there has to be a level of commitment that they have that's beyond belief sometimes, to continue chugging week after week.
That's exactly my point. I just want to bring it that it really is difficult. And I just want to take it one more level, which is more for the guy's perspective about the food or the lack thereof. Chassidim, if I may, it's a big part of our life when we understand what it really means. What a kugel, come on, Yossi, you know what I mean? A real Chassidish kugel and a child.
I won't admit it on a live program that I know what you're talking about, but it's fine.
Okay, and sometimes we go to places and it's just about meatballs with tomato sauce. It's not the real authentic Shabbos meals, although, again, for the most part, things are great. But still, we have our difficulties. And therefore, yes, they deserve a lot of appreciation. But to your point, it's also because we see results. We see that it resonates. And my wife has, took it from my wife, but there are many other women. My wife has made so many friends. And as I said, if you keep authentic, it's not about Kiruv. They're simply her friends. She has so many friends out there in the States, which is a big chiddush or a shocker. Like for her friends were only within, the Hasidic closeness. And now she has friends all over. They're different than her. They come to us for Shabbos, not for cure of purposes. Our friends, we share our lives together. and she sees how it resonates and how people are so loving this so much. So obviously it's worth the price, as you said. She would, my wife and all the other women, they pack up their families and stay. I get the questions always before, oh, where are we staying? Where are we staying? I say, I could give you a random name and a random address, but I have no clue. You know, how many cats or dogs they have. I have no clue. I don't know. I hope things will be good. I'm trying my best. And yeah, sometimes we didn't have the best experience, but overall it's been pretty good. But to your point, it works because they're committed and then they see how it resonates and people love it. And we're going strong. We're not stopping anytime soon.
Amazing. You know, there are people watching this who are either in communities that would love, you know, a visit by the traveling Chassidim. There are people watching this that are leaders of communities that might consider bringing, you know, in the traveling Chassidim. You know, maybe after this interview, people are more likely and less skeptical about, you know, bringing in the Chassidim to their community. Like, you know, like I think Yisrael mentioned that there were communities that kept their synagogues away from you guys, right? What is it in two sentences that's worth their while to bring the traveling Hasidim for an experience, and why they won't regret it?
Good question. First of all, I just want to mention, you were saying the word communities the whole time. It's good for the audience to know also that we go to college campuses too, which I must say that's boy, do we have fun on the college this Friday night. So the colleges could call us too. Why they should want to, why they're not going to regret it, because we're actually helping the rabbis or the leaders of the communities. I think Eli mentioned this, that, you know, every rabbi of community tries to do more events. They're trying to bring in their people. On the regular Shabbos, they may have 20 people, but they're on their email list who come for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, you know, those 3-day Jews. They have maybe 1,000. And this rabbi is always trying to get their own people to come to them. So we're not taking anyone away. I'm not opening up a shul or organization in your community, and I'm not taking away your people. I'm helping you that your community should see that your shul, your synagogue, your programs are fun. So they should want to come more often. So it's only going to help you. And that answers why you're obviously not going to regret it, because we're just helping you out.
Right. You know, let me ask you, you know, a question. You know, the hour is late over here, and I want to get to the I want to get to a question that I'm sure are in a lot of people's minds. I know that you and I have run events that have you know, been along these lines as well, and that is of late, over the past bunch of years, there have been numerous high-profile television programs that have featured Hasidic sects of Jews, you know, on some light or another, some better light than others, some worse light than others. But for the most part, I think it's at least opened people's eyes about the Hasidic community in general. Have you found that those things have been helpful? Have they been hurtful? Have they been conversation starters? And how has that affected the traveling Hasidim's experience in communities?
Very good question. I hope this segment goes live and viral. So this is the real story behind Hasidim. It's just like anything. I don't know if you've ever heard the term fake news. It's just like anything. Certainly there are good films out there, and there's certainly the bad ones. So for a conversation point, I actually enjoy it because I enjoy a challenge, I enjoy conversation, and people want to challenge me what they saw on certain movies or films. I'd love the challenge. So some are good and some are bad, like you're always going to have out there in the news. And as I said, for a conversation, I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the fact that it brings to light. And you know what? I'm not going to say any names, but one of the bad ones, which have been out lately, a few people have shared with me, a few people who have met us on Shabbatons throughout the country, quite a few have shared with me that they actually use that film to counter they use us to counter the film. They say, you just watched that film, you think you know what Hasidim are? I'll tell you who Hasidim really are. We have the traveling Hasidim in our community. So in a way, it was a good thing that even those bad films, people started talking and brought to the attention of our fans out there, and they would counter it with us.
Amazing. We're here with Aryeh Royd, who again, started off being a quote unquote regular community Hasidic Jew who really took the message of both Rav Noach Weinberg, which was passed on vis-a-vis Project Inspire, and has really changed communities one at a time. Aryeh, do you have a closing message? In culmination of our discussion here, Rav Noach Weinberg's teachings, the message of Project Inspire, the message of sharing Judaism, the message of breaking down barriers and misconceptions, and even the Chassidim could have that, could have that impact on people's lives. A closing message to the audience, both about their own Judaism, traveling Chassidim. The mic is yours.
Difficult. It's very difficult unless you have like 3.5 hours. In a nutshell, a salesperson has to believe in your product. So first of all, love your Judaism. Don't just do it out of rote. Certainly don't do it because you're afraid of, heaven or hell. It's not about that. Love it. There's nothing in Yiddishkeit which isn't fun. If there's any aspect in Yiddishkeit which you don't enjoy, it's either not Judaism or you don't know how to do it. You're not doing it properly. Love every part of your Judaism. Ask your rabbi, how could this be enjoyable? Every part of it could be enjoyable. Once you get that message, as I mentioned before, you'll feel a moral obligation to share it with others, because once you got that, you say, oh my gosh, wow, I never knew how rich our life is. And I feel bad for others, not just in the secular world, but even my Hasidic brothers and neighbors who are doing the thing without living it. You're going to want to share it with others. When you share it with them, it's equal if you share it with Chassidim or non-Chassidim or non-Orthodox. You just want to share that. And there's a responsibility to share this. And ultimately, Rav Noach always used to say that Hashem is going to do the job anyway. He's going to bring back his children. Hashem is going to bring back his children eventually. Question is, are we going to be part of Hashem's team bringing back the children, or we're just going to sit back and wait for Hashem to do the job? I think we should want to be on his team to say, I want to get this done as quickly as possible. And it's just a great feeling to be on Hashem's team bringing back his children. And everyone could do it. As I mentioned before, you don't need to have any talent. You just need to be yourself, love what you do, and then automatically you're going to want to share it with others.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Aryeh Royd, the Traveling Chassidim. Aryeh, kudos to you for putting together the group that you have, for being you. I know that you teach nonstop. It was even hard to get you for this interview because you're teaching classes nonstop. I know that the world has gone, virtual. You've virtually teaching, live teaching, whatnot. Continue doing what you do. You're really an inspiration. You're certainly an inspiration for us at Project Inspire, for the people that you've met at our weekends who were inspired by you. And you'll go on to keep inspiring communities as soon as the world reopens.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on. And I'm forever grateful to Rav Noach, to Project Inspire, Rabbi Samson, yourself, Yossi, because we've been friends for the last 15 years, and you've helped me get to the place where Traveling Chassidim is. I'm forever grateful for all the inspiration I always got from Aish and its organizations. Thank you.
It's our pleasure and pride. Keep going, Aryeh. Thank you.